I'm here in St. Anthony Garden, located directly behind the St. Louis Cathedral in the French Quarter. Unlikely as it may seem, this once was the favorite dueling ground for most New Orleans Creoles. The Americans preferred the sugarcane plantation of Louis Allard in what is now City Park. Here under the original dueling oak today, we'll reenact a typical affair of honor and recount the exploits of Pepe Lulia. You said Pepe could pick a fly off your lapel with his sword and not disturb the material. When it was built 53 years ago at the staggering cost then of $2.5 million, the Sanger Theater was considered one of the great movie palaces. This month, the Sanger reopened with most of its original splendor restored, including the great Morton Wonder organ. They call him the Cajun Yankee. This slender southpaw from Lafayette, Louisiana, may be the finest left-hander in baseball since Sandy Koufax. Today, we'll see him strut his stuff before the home folks of South Louisiana in the Superdome. This is Exchange Alley. For 50 years prior to the Civil War, this three-block stretch between Canal Street and Contact was dueling headquarters for some of the great swordsmen in the United States. Here were located the elegant salles, the fencing academies, under the direction of their maitres d'armes, or masters of arms. Over 24 fencing academies flourished in this city at one time. Dueling was more widespread here, perhaps, than anywhere else in the world, with the exception of Paris or Madrid. The Creoles devised their own set of rules and regulations. They called it the Code Duello. An American might settle an argument with his fists. Not so the Creole. He knew what constituted an insult and how to seek redress. The only recourse was the field of honor. Dueling to him was more a matter of proving both parties were men of honor than deciding who was right or wrong. Instruction in fencing and marksmanship were a standard part of every gentleman's education. That he would fight a duel was inevitable. That he might be killed was an unspoken possibility. Mastery of arms, they called it. The great masters like Pepe Lulia became both heroes. For the Creoles, dueling was a matter of style and honor. They preferred swords, and often a touch of blood was enough to satisfy them. The Americans were different, however. They preferred pistols, accurate and deadly. Americans, or cane tucks as the Creoles called them, thought dueling was foolish, and they took advantage of their right as the challenged party to choose their weapon, pistols. The rifled barrels had the accuracy flintlocks lacked. Antique gun dealer James Cohen says this set is typical of those found in most antebellum New Orleans homes. Now this sort of dueling kit, if you will, I don't know whether that's what they call it, but anyhow.
Dueling set, yes.
Dueling set. With all of these appurtenances, these accessories, was that a common item in the home of an aristocrat in New Orleans?
Oh, yeah. Everybody would have one, the same as they'd have their frock coat and their fancy hat for the ball.
But really, it wasn't so much for show as necessity. That was a survival kit, wasn't it?
Oh, yes. Oh, they were used. They had your various salles d'armes where instruction from youth on up was given by the European masters.
This is what you'd call a matched set of dueling pistols, huh?
Yeah. In fact, these are numbered. The one you have is number 1. Number 2 is right back here on the back of the hammer section. They work on a safety, your trigger to hold it, your trigger to fire it, and this is the adjustment where you can make it as tight or as loose as you want it to be. It's checkered in here. This is all hand engraved. Here, it's a half stock with the carving on the end, Damascus twisted steel octagon barrel, the number 2 appearing on the back portion here to indicate that this is the second one of a pair. The other one's numbered number 1. You have your shell work on the butt plate, lifts up, and you can put whatever you need in there, spare caps, what have you, nipples. Your sight, if it ever breaks, will slide out and can be replaced.
The Civil War marked the decline of dueling. Laws against dueling had been passed and rescinded time and again since 1800. They were ignored by the courts, the police, and the people. Even the Yankee occupation couldn't stamp it out.
The There was the problem after the war when old Silver Spoon's butler came in.
Yeah.
He was pretty much adverse to the populace being armed, so a lot of these things went under the counter, so to speak, or under the mattress.
There were laws against dueling, but they were seldom enforced. Dueling could be done almost anywhere. Here in New Orleans, two sites were generally accepted to be fields of honor, and this was one of them. St. Anthony's Garden, directly behind the St. Louis Cathedral, fancied by the Creoles. They tell a story that one Sunday morning, while celebrating Mass, the priest in the cathedral was greatly disturbed by a commotion out back. Passing through his 20 or so celebrants to see what was happening, he found in St. Anthony's Garden 200 people watching a duel. After that, they say, the laws against dueling were strictly enforced. The dueling site that was favored by the Americans was the old Allard Plantation. It was safely outside the city limits. Thousands of duels were fought here underneath the dueling oaks in what is now City Park. David Seister, a fencer and historian, explains. Some of the early newspaper accounts I've read are fascinating. One account said that hardly a day went by when there wasn't a duel here at this spot.
That's probably true. The custom was so well ingrained here in the Creole lifestyle, defending honor, whatever honor was, of course, and the old code duello that required a man to not take an insult in public. Of course, a man could never strike another man, prove himself a gentleman, no gentleman if he did that, but he could retire to the field of honor.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Sir?
Morning. Please take your positions. May I have the seconds, please?
Now, who are the principals in this duel that we're watching here? You have a director.
We have the director standing in the center, calling the action. We have the seconds standing to the side, assisting the duelists. The seconds, of course, holding the weapons, keeping an eye on their friends. At the same time, being there to help out if they need to be, and then the two duelists.
Now, that's interesting. The code duello was a very ritualized and strict code, wasn't it?
It's passed on from father to son in how it was handled, and of course, a gentleman could not respond to verbal taunting, or he proved he was not a man of class, of worth. But there was a point at which, if it was done publicly, he could not refuse an insult, even if he wanted to.
On guard. Allez.
Affairs of honor, the Creoles called them. One Sunday in 1839, 10 duels were fought under this very oak. Dueling was the business of gentlemen, and gentlemen were very polite. Afterwards, coffee was always served.
Most of our records indicate that it was the Americans who really brought the idea of killing to the duel. They, arriving in the area before and after the Louisiana Purchase, they found dueling to be a rather strange custom, which they did not like. They'd rather get in a fist fight or buy a round of drinks. And they couldn't do this, so they thought they could bluff their way out. They'd never seen swords, so they chose the shotgun as their weapon. And of course, the Creoles did not like the idea of the shotgun, but if they were challenged, they could not back out. And from then on, people did start dying. In fact, they say the first man killed in the city in the duel was the brother-in-law of Governor Claiborne, a man named Micah Green Lewis, and his tomb is in St. Louis, #1.
Before dueling finally died out, bullies and braggarts from both the American and Creole sides of town began to fill the cemeteries. In this cemetery, St. Louis #1, you'll find many headstones simply inscribed, "Killed in a duel." It's said that there were two reasons for building new cemeteries beyond the New Orleans city limits: yellow fever and dueling. At the end of Exchange Alley was the Academy of Gilbert Rozier. Gilbert T.T. Rozier came to New Orleans originally to practice law, but he had a terrible temper. One of his friends said he should take up swordsmanship, to discipline it. He did, and he became a master of arms. He was also a legend. One story they tell is that T.T. Rosier fought 7 duels in 7 days in one period, and he won them all. The greatest of all dueling masters was Don Jose Pepe Lulia. They say he stopped counting numbers after he fought his 40th affair of honor. Pepe died of natural causes at the age of 73, and he was buried here in the Louisa Street Cemetery, now known as St. Vincent de Paul. A passionate man of strong conviction, Pepe retained allegiance to his native Spain. Once he plastered the city with posters in 3 languages, defying American or Creole to take him. No one did. Seeking financial security, the old master of arms bought his own cemetery, this one. Some folks said Pepe simply had run out of places to bury his victims. The last recorded duel was fought with pistols in City Park, 1889. A policeman chanced by, watched while the duelist shot, and missed 3 times. Then he arrested them for disturbing the peace.
Mr. Tony Bertucci.
Pleasure to be up here. All in such important dignitaries. But back in 1800, you would seek a man of my profession before you would seek a lawyer. I have to do with the dueling today. I teach the fencing at the YMCA. I've taught many of the young fellows how to engage in the art of fencing, including Mr. Broussard. And we love fencing so much, we thought it would be a pleasure to put a bumper sticker which will remind everybody about fencing. We do love fencing. And on the back of it has the...
Hey!
You stupid fool, you! What's the matter with you? I want to see you on the field of honor in 15 minutes. Now, come on.
Come on, let's go.
the modern planes are flying in the background while we're having a museum, and over there. So it's all gorgeous. Well, to go back, they're going there. Yeah, go back. Yeah, this time.
Where's Joe?
Oh, here we have some more.
He's way ahead of us.
This tape is presented by the United States Fencing Association and the Directors Commission. It is on directing for the foil. We hope that in watching it, you'll be able to improve your officiating and thereby in general improve fencing in the United States. We will cover what an attack is, how to recognize an attack, the importance of distance within fencing officiating, various common problems in officiating, and the penalties that should be applied whenever something against the regulations exists. We hope you enjoy this film. The first duty of a president is to ensure that the fencer's equipment is all in correct order. The foil must be insulated from the barrel at least 15 centimeters down the length of the blade. The pommel and prongs of the handle must also be insulated. Inside the guard, look for the control mark, the inspection. Also, that the insulation on the cord goes all the way to the socket. Make sure the glove covers approximately half the forearm. Fencers are required to wear the mandatory plastron, which you feel below and also at the forearm. You check that the lame covers the target by the arms and in the groin line particularly. In the back, you make sure the lame has the control mark and that the clip is firmly attached in the back on the weapon side. The mask, check for the control mark, give it a visual inspection for safety. For women fencers, you must wear breastplates. You ask the fencer to check for breastplates. Then take the 500-gram weight, place it on the tip, and depress it. The machine should then reset, which indicates that the spring does support the weight. The fencer is now ready to start the bout. In order to officiate, one must have a clear understanding of what certain actions are called. The attack. The attack is the initial offensive action with the arm extending and the point threatening the valid surface of the target. The parry. The parry is the defensive action made with the blade to stop the attack. That is, to deny access of the attack to the target. The line. The line exists when the arm is straight and fully extended and the point is directed at the target. It continues to exist whether one remains still or moves. The counterattack. The counterattack is an offensive action made against the attack. The attack is from the right, counterattack from the left. Touch left. repost. The repost is the offensive action made by the defender after the parry. Understanding distance and its effect on right-of-way is critical to proper officiating. There are 4 distances in fencing that one must recognize. Repost distance. Repost distance is the distance in which one may hit their opponent just by extending the arm. Advanced distance. Advanced distance is the distance in which one may hit their opponent by extending the arm and making an advance. Lunge distance. Lunge distance is the distance in which one may hit their opponent by extending the arm and making a lunge. Advanced lunge distance. Advanced lunge distance is the distance in which one may hit their opponent by extending the arm and making an advanced lunge. It also includes the balestra lunge, and the flesh. In the following sequences, the fencer on the right is making the attack from the 4 distances we have just mentioned. The fencer on the left is the counterattacker. Repost distance. Attack from the right, counterattack from the left, touch left. Advanced distance. Attack from the right, counterattack from the left, touch left. Lunge distance. The attack is still from the right, counterattack is still from the left, touch left. Advanced lunge distance. Attack from the right, counterattack from the left, touch left. Remember, the fencer on the right has done nothing different, so the touch is still awarded against the left. Feint attack. With a feint attack, the attacker still retains the right of way. Attack from the right, counterattack from the left, touch left. Feint attack from advanced lunge distance. The attacker still retains the right of way. Remember, the fencer on the right has done nothing different, so the touch is still awarded against the left. Attack from the right, counterattack from the left, touch left. Scoring with the counterattack. The fencer on the left is now the attacker. Here, the fencer on the right hits the fencer on the left during the advance and is not hit in return until the completion of left's lunge. A superior tempo has been established. That is to say, a tempo within a tempo. Touch left. The line. The fencer on the left has established the line. The fencer on the right attacks onto left's point. Touch right. Here, the fencer on the right starts the attack, and then the fencer on the left establishes the line. The fencer on the left is now a counterattacker. Touch left. An attack must be made within distance. An attack started beyond advanced lunge distance does not have right-of-way until the fences are in advanced lunge distance. One must be in distance to threaten the opponent, thereby requiring the opponent to parry the attack. Here, while the attack from the right starts from out of distance, the fencer being attacked on the left establishes the line. Therefore, the touch is against the right. Here are some of the most common problems for a director. Who is attacking whom? The coupe. The attack here is from the right. Remember, the coupe by definition is a simple attack, just as a disengage would be. Preparation or attack. Here, the fencer on the right starts moving forward, but the arm is not extending. The extension actually starts by the fencer from the left. Right is only preparing. Attack from the left, touch right. Preparation or slow attack. This is not at all the same as the previous action. Here, the fencer on the right starts the attack, arm extending, immediately. The fact the attack is done slowly in no way changes the right of way. Attack from the right, touch left. Remise or riposte. The attack from the right is parried, and the riposte starts immediately after the parry. That the riposte is slow does not change right of way. Attack from the right, parried. Riposte from the left, touch right. Remise or riposte. The attack from the right is parried, but left does not make an immediate riposte. This allows right to remise. Attack from the right, parried. Remise, touch left. Here the fence on the right makes a beat attack. Notice that all action is from the right, and that only one sound of blade meeting occurs. Attack from the right, touch left. Beat or parry. Here the fencer on the right again makes a beat attack, but the fencer on the left parry riposte. Notice that there are two sounds of blade meeting. Attack from the right, parried. Riposte from the left, touch right. Displacement. One of the more often misapplied rules is the one regarding displacement. Here, the fencer on the right makes an attack which lands. The fact that right's head displaces the target does not invalidate the attack. Touch left. In this action, no one is hit. Even though right displaces the target, halt should not be called. No one has done anything against the rules. Here the fencer on the right attacks but misses. Left then hits right on the head, which, due to an abnormal position, has displaced target. Touch right. A president must use the proper words, and at that, not too many of them. There is a wrong way. On guard. Are you ready?
Ready, sir.
Ready. Fence. Halt. Well, as you're coming forward, really, she starts, okay? And then you make that the counter parry and then the disengage riposte, but she parries that one. And then she stabs you, and then you finally get her. So it's really her touch, okay? And there is a right way. Ready?
Ready.
Fence. Halt. The attack is from the right. It is parry. Riposte is parry. Counter riposte arrives. Touch left. Einguard. These are some of the more common infractions of the rules. Infractions fall into 3 categories: minor, severe, and special. Be sure to study the rules book so that all infractions are penalized correctly. Faulty equipment. Covering target. Holding electrical equipment. Placing the point in contact with the strip. Core à core. Turning the back. Raising the mask. Halt. Replace your mask. Warning for mask. Simultaneous action. No touch. Einguard. Improper use of the unarmed hand. Core à core to avoid the touch. Blocking. Flesh that jars the opponent. Core à core with intentional brutality. Halt. The attack is from the right, touch left.
What? Can't you see?
Tony Bertucci turns 70, but at an age when most people are looking at retirement, Tony is still going strong. You see, Tony is a fencer.
I've been fencing since 1938, before the war.
Tony began teaching here at the Y back in 1946. Over the years, he's taught thousands how to fence.
Oh! Attack right, good. Point right. You have within 3/10 of a second to defend yourself. It comes at you real fast.
Of course, Tony does more than just stay off to the side. Every class means a session with the master.
Well, they're with me sometimes. There's no two ways about it. But, they have a hard time doing it. When a 5-point bout, we'll give them a good tussle. They'll have to hit me to get to me.
He's been fencing for 53 years, but Tony's not planning on retiring anytime soon.
Until I give out, which I ain't about to give out yet, because my legs are good, my knees are good, my arms are good. I love it. I love it. It keeps me going. It's better than just sit down watching television.
Jim Gallagher, WVUE News 8 Sports, in the CBD.
When the Three Musketeers sliced their way into our lives, the art of the sword was forever etched into our minds. But out of the days of sword fighting evolved a sport Anthony Bertucci has loved for over 50 years, fencing.
It's like a ballet. You use your footwork to get in, your footwork to get out. And your arm has to move to attack and to defend yourself. So everything is moving. It's a good physical exercise.
Anthony heads the Lee Circle YMCA fencing club and has done so since the 1950s. While some may consider him a senior citizen, Bertucci, at the age of 69, is more like the Nolan Ryan of fencing.
Keeps me young. My legs are nice, my legs are good, my feet are good, my arms are good. And any person at any age can learn. Retreat. 1, 2, retreat.
He's incredible for his age. I've always been surprised. You just keep going, no man that old can be that quick. And the worst part about it is whenever you're fencing with him and you're really struggling hard, you get the feeling he's doing about half speed.
Bertucci's teachings are derived from the old school. So when this maestro calls your tune, you better be on key.
He's really hard. I think a lot of people, that's one of the things that they can't take, because he really does drive you and he pushes you, but it's good if you're going to compete because he gives you that edge.
I fence with every person that comes here when they start learning it. They've got to beat me in order to beat somebody else.
Bertucci's hands-on approach is welcomed by his students, especially if they can strike the final blow.
If I'm having a good night and he's having a bad night, or if he's trying to work on a particular technique, and he might let me win.
I don't hold back. I don't hold back. If they get through to me, they got it great.
Quite an outstanding story. We'll have all of your Major League and college baseball coming up at 6 o'clock.
All right, can't wait. Thanks a lot. Still.
TVs.